Hello friends, welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm reading a book called Wild Eggs, A Tale of Arctic Egg Collecting. So let's get straight into this book. Wild Eggs. Akuluk and her stuffed polar bear Piola stepped out of the plane. She held onto Piola while the pilot helped her down the rickety steps that were held up by a thick piece of wire. Akuluk looked up into the bright blue sky. It didn't look much different from the sky in Yellowknife, but Akuluk's mom had told her before they left that she would learn lots of new things when she went to visit her grandparents in Nunavut. Akuluk would have preferred to travel south to visit her cousin Nala in Montreal, where they had circuses, fairs, rides, and new clothes. But her mom had told her that it was important to visit her grandparents because they had much to show her. There probably isn't too much to do here, Akuluk thought sadly. Akuluk and her mom got into an orange taxi van outside the airport. Mom asked the driver to take them to Akuluk's grandparents' house. The road drove down and had no pavement at all. It was long, bumpy, and dusty gravel road to Grandma's house. Along the way, Akuluk spotted big Arctic hares on the side of the road. She read about them in school and knew what they were. She wondered why they just sat there looking and seeming like they didn't belong. The big rolling hills were green with tiny orange dots. "Watch out!" exclaimed Akuluk. The taxi swerved to avoid hitting the hare crossing the road. "I wonder what I'm going to see next," Akuluk thought in amazement. Finally, Akuluk arrived in her grandparents' house. It was the tiniest blue house that Akuluk had ever seen, sitting at the bottom of a big hill. Akuluk and her mom entered the house and gave big hugs to her grandma and grandpa. "Hello, Anana and Atata," Mom said. Akuluk knew that Anana and Atata meant mom and dad in Inuktitut. She had heard her mom say those words many times. She liked the idea of calling her grandparents by an Inuktitut name. Grandma's house was cozy and it smelled like fresh sweet bread. On the wall there was a picture of a man with a thick black curly hair and a crowbar mustache and a smile. "Could this be why my hair is curly?" thought Akuluk. Her mom's hair and dad's hair were both straight. "Who's that, Mommy?" Akuluk asked. "Oh, that's Atata when he was young," Mom laughed. Akuluk couldn't believe it was the same man who was now standing in front of her gray-haired, thin, and bent over. "Yes, Akuluk, I was once young like you are now, but that was a long time ago," Atata chimed in. Welcome to our house, little one," he said as he gave her a hug. It's so good to have you here." Akuluk and her mom were very tired from their long day of traveling. So after eating dinner with Atata and Anana, Akuluk's favorite part of being Anana's bannog called Palukok, Akuluk drifted off to sleep to the lovely, lingering smell of palak and the distant howls of the neighborhood's dog team. Early the next morning, Akuluk awoke to the lovely scent of Anana cooking breakfast. When Akuluk shuffled to the kitchen with Palula under her arms, she noticed that the eggs Anana was cooking looked nothing like the eggs she'd seen at home. Some were brightly colored, others were speckled brown, and the yolks were bright orange. "What are those?" Akuluk asked, curious and a little tentative. Atata answered. They're wild eggs and that Anana and I collected from the land. Would you like to pick wild ducks eggs with us today? I know a secret island where there are thousands, he said. Akuluk could not imagine a place that would have thousands of these interesting eggs. A million questions popped into her head, and she blurted out, Really, Atata? Where? How far is it? What do I wear? Yes, Atata, I can't wait to go. Not so fast, Akuluk. You must dress for this, said Anana. He pulled out a fur parka with a huge sunburst trim around the hood of the closet. Put this on and the bugs won't bother you. It will keep you nice and snug. Akuluk donned her beautiful muskrat, wolf, and wolverine fur coat. On the shoulders it had wisps of alternating white and brown fur dangling on the side, and it felt warm and cozy, kind of like her favorite blanket. She felt very grand in it. She wore the warm coat at the table as she quickly ate breakfast, then rushed to the door, ready to go. Akuluk could not imagine a place that would have thousands of these interesting eggs. A million questions popped into her head, and she blurted out, Really, Atata? Where? How far is it? What do I wear? Yes, Atata, I can't wait to go. Not so fast, Akuluk. You must dress for this, said Anana. He pulled out a fur parka with a huge sunburst trim around the hood of the closet. Put this on and the bugs won't bother you. It will keep you nice and snug. Akuluk donned her beautiful muskrat, wolf, and wolverine fur coat. On the shoulders it had wisps of alternating white and brown fur dangling on the side, and it felt warm and cozy, kind of like her favorite blanket. She felt very grand in it. She wore the warm coat at the table as she quickly ate breakfast, then rushed to the door, ready to go. Anana pulled her waterproof sealskin boots, and Atata put her old rubber boots on. Anana pulled on her waterproof sealskin boots, and Atata put on his old rubber boots. Don't forget your mitts. He put these on too, Anana said. She made Akuluk mittens of eider duck skins, which were connected by a long string that she put inside the arms of Akuluk's parka so she could work and play without dropping her mitts. The mittens were warm and roomy. I love my mitts and coat, Grandma, said Akula happily, and Anana reminded her that the parka was called an itigi. Akuluk showed her mom the beautiful clothes her grandparents had given her. Now you're a little Artic girl in fantastic fashion, her mom exclaimed. Atata laughed and said, Let's go. Atata started his big green ATV for the trip. Vroom! The engine came alive and began to vibrate, ready to move. Akuluk put on her helmet, and onto the ATV they climbed. Atata in the front, Akuluk in the middle, and Anana behind her. The ATV carried them up the gravel road in between two muddy ponds. Akuluk turned to wave to her mom one last time before the ATV carried her down another hill. Akuluk felt the wind against her cheek, but she was sheltered from the cold by Anana and Atata. They rode across the tundra. Akuluk looked out the lush carpet of the spongy, soft green moss that they traveled on. She did not see a single tree anywhere. The land was covered with cloudberries. They are called akpit in Inuktitut. Anana told her, pointing to the bright orange raspberry of the north. There were also crowberries, dark, round, juicy berries known as pongit in Inuktitut. Every now and again, a spotted brown ptarmigan with its fluffy clawed feet would swoop across the tundra, head bobbing and clucking. Farther away, Akuluk spotted a caribou slightly serenely staring at them from a distance. His brown and white fur matched the rocks around him, making him almost invisible. Finally, the big green machine slowed to a stop. They were at the Arctic Ocean. Akuluk immediately smelled the beautiful, strong salt sea and the seaweed that floated on the water. She spotted sea clams and scallop shells at the water's edge. Out in the water, Akuluk saw men in boats. Hunting beluga, Anana whispered to Akuluk. Anana explained that belugas had provided an Inuit with nutritious food and delicacy called muktak. For centuries, Akuluk knew this from school, but she liked to hear Anana explain it to her. We must stay quiet now, Atata told Akuluk. It's quiet time when we're out here. We stay quiet out of respect for the Pinisuquat, the traditional ways. Atata pulled a tiny boat into the water from the shore, and crouching on his knees, he balanced the boat perfectly on the surface. Akuluk had to sit very still in the middle of the boat. Anana sat motionless at the other end. They had to be very careful to keep everything level and calm on the water. Akuluk was sure that if she moved a muscle, they would tip over and splash right into the water they'd go. Atata paddled the boat along slowly and steadily and gently. Wow, said Akuluk, as the birds cleared the island and she saw thousands of nests, all in little circles filled with puffy brown and white down feathers. In some of the nests lay the most beautiful pale turquoise eggs, just as if someone had painted them that way. In one nest, there were brown ones with spots all over them. Grandpa, is this one a duck egg? Akuluk asked. Yes, good job, Akuluk. You can tell the difference between wild eggs already. You learn fast. That's a good thing coming on the land. Now, he continued, his tone becoming serious. We have rules when we go hunting and gathering. You see this nest with 5 eggs in it? How about this one with 6 eggs in it? Here's one with 4 eggs. We can only take nests with 4 eggs or fewer. Akuluk, Pisnukanati, following traditional ways, meaning that we can't take nests that have more than 4 eggs in them. We must leave enough eggs behind for the birds to grow and for the other children in the future to pick like we're doing right now. He said, a mother bird will leave her nest altogether if she finds out even one egg missing. So we must leave nests completely untouched. Sometimes she will even leave her eggs if she finds out they have been handled by humans. Atata showed Akuluk how to gather eggs correctly. So as not to break them, you have to take the nest itself to use as a cushion for the rest of the eggs, he said. Akuluk picked only certain nests like Atata told him to. When their bucket was full, Anana said it was time to go. They got back into the tiny boat, and Atata steered them back to the mainland slowly, steadily, and gently. At home, Atata taught Akuluk to put the eggs in the water to see which ones they could eat. The eggs that floated on the top of the pot could only be used for baking. The ones that stayed at the bottom of the pot were only good for cooking and eating. Most of them stayed at the bottom. Atata said you can only pick eggs at certain times of year to make sure they wouldn't float when put in a pot of water. Atata left the rest of the eggs in the cold porch to use another day. In the kitchen, Akuluk found a carefully stitched coat wrapped in red ribbon sitting on her chair at the table. She unwrapped it and found there was a blue and white umatu, just like the one her mother had. Now you don't have to worry about carrying Piula all the time. You can carry him on your back, just like I carried you when you were little, Mom said with a smile. Akuluk thought it was the most beautiful gift she ever received. With Anana's help, Akuluk put oil in her frying pan and cooked 2 eggs on the stove. She sat at the table with her family to eat the best scrambled eggs she had ever tasted. She realized that they tasted better because she had picked them herself. I love wild eggs. I love Munit. Akula giggled. And I feel so grown up with my very own umati. At bedtime, Akuluk dreamed of wild ducks and geese, their beautiful pale turquoise eggs, and the beautiful brown one with spots on them. The 2 eggs she'd seen with no colors on them at all, they were much bigger than the hen eggs she'd been used to in the city. She would be going home soon, but she would come back next summer to go berry picking with Anana and egg hunting with Atata. Maybe someday Akuluk would paddle up to the secret Munulik island on her own little boat all by herself. Piola could come along too, if he wanted to seek more adventures on the beautiful tundra and the powerful Arctic Ocean. Okay guys, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this book. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. Bye guys.